Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Stuff in Excel. I'm Richard, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a function in Excel called rank.eq. You see it right here on the screen. This is a great function. It allows you to rank observations in a column of data, and then those observations will track along as you resort the data. It's a really great tool. It's a active function so that every time you add more data, it'll redo the ranking. It's an absolutely fantastic tool to use in Excel when you're trying to determine where different observations stand in relation to each other. So let's just go look and see how rank.eq works. So as I indicated, we're going to be working with a function in Excel that's called rank.eq. This function allows us to rank the observations within a column of data from largest to smallest or smallest to largest without having to resort the data. It's a really useful tool, particularly when we're trying to compare different metrics at the same time. So let's look at the data that we have here. So the data we have is data for 13 stores that a company has. There are four metrics that this store is using, or this company is using, to rank their stores or to evaluate their stores: number of sales transactions per store, sales revenue per store, sales returns per store, and customer count per store. That's the number of customers through the door. So, how would we rank these? Now, we could sort them. I could simply go through and sort column B using my drop down filter that's in my table, and I could simply do smallest to largest. Let's do largest to smallest, and we can see that the largest number of sales transactions is in store 10,323. However, if I want to sort by sales revenue, and I sort by sales revenue from largest to smallest, we find out that actually the largest sales revenue is in a different store, but I lose the ranking in the sales transactions column. So this is problematic for me because I might want to compare all the rankings for store 10073, and I might want to see what are all the rankings for store 10323 all at the same time. I can't do that by sorting each individual column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the ranking tool. So we're going to go over and we're going to create a column called rank of number of sales transactions. And what I will do is I will resize that column. Now, we're going to type in our formula, our function for this, which is going to be equals rank.eq. Now, there are three functions associated with the rank.eq command, and let's go look at them. The first function, or argument one for our function, is going to be the item that we want to rank. So in this case, if we were ranking the number of sales transactions, the item is the individual sales transaction for that store. Argument number two is the range of items against which we are ranking. So in this case, it would be all of the number of sales transaction totals for all of the stores, and we would simply highlight that. Then the third argument down here is either a 0 for largest to smallest or a 1 for smallest to largest. Now, if you leave it blank, it's going to default to 0, so you don't have to put anything in there if you're ranking from largest to smallest. If you want to rank from smallest to largest, you do have to put a 1 as your third argument. So let's go see how this would work in our tools here. So we're going to simply click in column F2, and we'll say equals rank.eq, open parenthesis. Now, our first argument is what we want to rank, which is the number of sales transactions for that store, for store 10073. Then we'll put a comma. The second argument is going to be the range of items against which we want to rank. Now, if this is in a range of data, you're going to have to fix this range using the F4 key. However, because it's in a table, we don't have to fix the range. It'll expand dynamically as we add more items to the table. So I'm simply going to hit enter in this case because I do want to rank from largest to smallest. So I could put in a 0, or I could just leave it blank, either one, close my parenthesis, hit enter, and it's going to rank all those for me. Now, if I want to do subsequent columns and subsequent metrics, I can do that. So, for example, if I wanted to do the rank of sales revenue, I'm going to do equals rank.eq, open parenthesis. Now, this time I'm ranking sales revenue, so I'll click on that for store 10073. 10,073. And then what I'll do is I hit a comma. My range is going to be all my sales revenue. And again, I don't have to hit a 0, so I won't do it this time. I'll close the parenthesis and hit enter, and it's going to copy that rank all the way down for me. It is interesting in this case that all of my sales revenue is actually ranked this way. And that's ranked that way because remember, we did the filter a little bit earlier, right? So let me put in a couple more columns here. And let's do rank of sales returns. And we'll also do rank of customer count. What I can see is, for example, for store 10073, they were ranked 5th in number of sales transactions, but 1st in sales revenue. They were ranked 4th in sales returns and 3rd for customer count through the door. Now, if I go down, the store that was number 1 in number of sales transactions was 2nd in sales revenue, was 5th in sales returns, and 5th in rank of customer count. So it's really interesting. I can look at all of these different rankings and I can see the different metrics and see how each store stacks up. We do have sort of an anomaly down here. Store 10424, for instance, has the 7th highest number of sales transactions, but has the 12th highest level of sales revenue, which could indicate a management problem that we need to deal with. Now, let me talk about a couple of other cute little or interesting little things about this function. So this function does allow for items that are the same. And so what it will do is if you have 2 items that are the same, it'll give them the same ranking. That ranking will be closest to 1 as it can be. So for example, let's look at rank of sales transactions. So what we're going to do, let's look at store 10158. It says it has 270 transactions. What if that number was 238? Right now, what we can see, and I will highlight this, you can see that that store is ranked 4th in number of sales transactions and 6th with respect to, and the next store is 6th with respect to sales transactions. What if this number over here in column B, row 6, was the same as for store 10231? It was 238. Now, if that's the case, watch what happens to our ranking. Our ranking now is 5 for each of those, right? So if you look at our rankings, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4. Then do we have 2 ranked at 5? There is nothing ranked at 7. And in fact, we have 2 that are ranked at 8, right? So there's no 9 either. And that's because what we've done is we've identified those items that are the same number, same metric value. And so it gives it the same ranking. The other thing I want to show you is that this is dynamic. So what if I add another store? Let's add 10150. And we're going to say that store, let's say that store happens to have a 300 customer or number of sales transactions. They had, let's just say $20,000 in sales. They had $900 in returns. And let's say that they had a customer count of 562. Now, what we see is that store ranks 4th. All these rankings changed, right? They all changed. That store ranks 4th for number of sales transactions, 1st for sales revenue, 1st for sales returns, and 1st for number of customers through the door. So it does change. What's also interesting is if I do a pivot table, these counts, these ranks carry right into the pivot table and become fields in my pivot table that I can use. So it's a really, really useful tool for us when we're trying to rank different metrics, different measurements, and then compare those across for a single observation or a single item, a single store that is in our file. So hopefully this was helpful. The rank.eq function. Hopefully you'll be able to use it and find an interesting use for it. In the meantime, have fun on Excel, and we'll see you real soon right here at Stuff in Excel.